everybody, welcome to the middle of nowhere. It's crazy to think I bought this Corsair K70 RGB keyboard in November of 2015. With all those years of use, it's no wonder a few keys don't work very well anymore, and some of the keycaps are even chipped. That the K70 RGB has lasted this long is both a testament to the product's quality, and is also why I decided to stick with Corsair and buy this K70 RGB Pro as its replacement. Before I go over the K70 RGB Pro's features, I want to first talk about the many things I love about the K70 RGB and a couple things I don't. First off, typing on this keyboard has been great. The Cherry MX Brown switches have plenty of travel distance, I can feel the tactile bump with each press, and the click sound when I press a key is audible, but not so loud as to be annoying or distracting. You can also remove the keycaps easily for cleaning or replacement. From a comfortability standpoint, you can adjust the keyboard's angle, and the included wrist rest is textured and has a nice rubber feel to it. It's not as giving as other wrist rests out there, but it does the job. The K70 RGB has a brushed aluminum body on top and a thick plastic body on the bottom, making it both rigid and durable. It has a bevy of media keys, including a metal knurled volume wheel and an RGB brightness button and a Windows lock button, which has come in handy many times while gaming. The near endless lighting possibilities and integration into Corsair's iCUE ecosystem allows me to set up RGB lighting that suits my mood or even the season. There's also a vibrant iCUE community should I need help setting things up or if I want to share my lighting profiles. Of course, no product is perfect. My two gripes with the K70 RGB have to do with the cable and switches. While the cable is braided, which is great, it's thick and clunky and splits off into two plugs at the end, and it cannot be removed from the keyboard. The non-detachable cable is the main reason I did not buy a Corsair keyboard for my work computer 3 years back. Cables can fail, and it can just be plain difficult and annoying to try and reinsert the cable back into your PC or monitor. Ultimately, it's a small negative, but being able to unplug the cable at the keyboard simply makes things more convenient. The second issue I have with the K70 is that you cannot remove the individual switches. Should a switch break and you're out of warranty, you'll have to pay for an entirely new keyboard rather than just replace the defective part. This is inconvenient, costly, and also plain wasteful in my opinion, especially when only a single switch fails and not the entire board. Of these two issues, Corsair has solved the first by making the cable detachable on the K70 RGB Pro. Unfortunately, the switches still aren't hot swappable, but I decided to not let this be a deal breaker because of how long my current K70 RGB has lasted. Now let's say goodbye to the old K70 RGB and say hello to the new K70 RGB Pro. The K70 RGB Pro is PC, Mac, and Xbox Series X and S compatible, and at the time of this video it retails for $169.99 or $179.99 depending on the switches and body color you choose. You can get the keyboard in black or white. The white version only comes with Corsair's OPX optical mechanical switches, but you can choose from 6 different switches for the black model. The K70 RGB Pro has a brushed aluminum frame like the original K70 RGB, which provides rigidity to the keyboard so it doesn't flex, as well as durability. I'm definitely glad Corsair retained the metal body. The palm rest now attaches magnetically via 2 little wing tabs compared to the original K70's plastic clips, and the Pro's wrist rest is pretty much the same as the K70 RGB's. It has a rubber texture with little to no padding, and in my 8 years of use I didn't mind the harder wrist rest, but if you prefer a softer one, you'll have to go shopping. The keyboard's height is adjustable, and there are cable routing channels on the bottom as well if you don't want the cable to go out the rear of the keyboard. However, I found the included cable to not be able to fully seat into the channels due to the teeth meant to hold the cable in. This was actually keeping it out, so you might need a slightly thinner cable. It's a great feature, but I feel like it's poorly executed. To keep the Pro from sliding around your desk, the bottom also has generously sized rubber pads. The keycaps are all double-shot PBT. PBT is a plastic polymer and is a more durable material than another plastic also using keycaps called ABS. PBT keycaps won't lose their texture or get that telltale shiny look after being used for so many years like ABS caps can. Additionally, because the K70 RGB Pro's caps are double shot, the legends or letters and symbols you see when typing aren't on the same layer of plastic, which again provides more longevity. Those of you who have both used Corsair keyboards in the past and are keen-eyed may also notice that Corsair has adopted a more standard bottom row with MX-style key switches and stabilizers. On my original K70 RGB, the control keys, for instance, are wider than the RGB Pro's control keys. Having a standard bottom row now is great if you want to replace all the keycaps with third-party ones. You can also see the right Windows key has been replaced with a function key. Another feature Corsair has touted for years with their keyboards is full N-key rollover and 100% anti-ghosting. If you don't know, N-key rollover means the keyboard will accept the input from all keys pressed simultaneously, with the anti-ghosting, accidental key inputs from unrelated keys while typing or gaming should be prevented. So when you type Q and U, a random B won't appear for no reason. Besides your standard keys, there are a slew of media keys to control your music and media, and the knurled metal volume wheel returns as well. The backlight brightness and Windows lock button have been moved to the left side of the keyboard and are now joined by a profile switch key. On the back of the RGB Pro, you'll find a tournament mode switch. In short, the tournament switch disables custom actions and macros to prevent accidental activation, as macros are more than likely frowned upon in tournament setting. Turning on the tournament switch also changes the backlighting to a static single color to reduce distraction, and offers standard keyboard operation without profiles and profile switching. There's also an indicator light that will turn on when you activate tournament mode. This is a pretty cool feature for those who are into competitive gaming. When it comes to choosing switches, Corsair again has provided consumers with a variety of options, depending on what you want to do and how you want your typing or gaming experience to be. You can choose from 5 Cherry MX switches: blue, brown, red, silent, and speed. Each switch type has a different quality to it, be it actuation force, actuation distance, clickiness when typing, and total travel distance. Alternatively, you can forego Cherry MX and go with Corsair's own OPX optical mechanical switches. This switch has an actuation distance of 1 mm, however I couldn't find out how much total travel distance there is, the actuation force required, or whether or not it's clicky or silent. Longevity and 0 debounce delay seem to be the main selling points for Corsair's OPX switches. Additionally, this switch still has a Cherry MX stem, so you'll be able to use compatible keycaps should you want to change them. As I already said in the introduction, my current K70 uses Cherry MX brown switches, which have a tactile bump as you press down on the key, and also a decent amount of click noise with each press. I went with red switches for my K70 RGB Pro this time. These are linear in that they lack the tactile bump, but still have some clicky sound with each press. Next up is the cord. It's braided and measures 1.8 meters, or almost 6 feet. It connects to the keyboard with a Type-C connection and connects to your PC, Mac, or Xbox Series X or S with a Type-A connection. Again, it's great to see the cable has evolved to be slimmer and also detachable. Inside the K70 RGB Pro is an ARM Cortex M4 processor. The ARM CPU helps power Corsair's Axon technology, which provides users with a polling rate of up to 8,000 Hz, a key scan rate of 4,000 Hz, and allows your profiles to have macros, saved key setups, and lighting effects with up to 20 layers, without slowing anything down or interfering with your use of the keyboard during gaming or typing sessions. There's also 8 MB of storage, so you can save profiles, macros, and lighting setups directly to the keyboard. Finally, you can control all your lighting and macros for the K70 RGB Pro through Corsair's iQ software, as well as receive firmware updates for improved performance and glitch fixes. Should you want to set up macros or control the keyboard's lighting without iQ, you can do that as well, and all of that is detailed in the user manual. As you can see, there are a lot of features packed into this keyboard, and honestly, there ought to be for the price Corsair is asking. Aesthetically, I like the K70 RGB Pro. I like the textured feel of the keycaps, and the legends are nice and legible. The magnetic wrist rest is very comfortable, and I like that I can adjust the keyboard's angle. The Pro's lighting, while vibrant, could possibly use one more step of brightness, but I definitely like the various media keys and the middle screen with the lock indicators and illuminated Corsair logo. While I love that the knurled volume wheel is back, I feel it could offer a bit more resistance when adjusting the volume. That the K70 RGB Pro doesn't come with a keycap puller or extra WASD keycaps like the original K70 did is a bit of a letdown, but I don't necessarily consider these absent extras to be a deal breaker. Of the two, I definitely would have liked to have seen the keycap puller included. I like that the USB cable securely inserts into the keyboard and doesn't come out easily. Having said that, I definitely think the cable management channel on the bottom needs to be tweaked so it's easier to fit and secure the cable. Again though, this isn't a deal breaker for me at least, as I'll be connecting the K70 RGB Pro to my monitor, so having the cable come out the back is fine for my needs. Finally, as I've already mentioned, the K70 RGB Pro does not have removable switches. They are soldered in place. Based on my 8-year experience with the K70 RGB, I again don't consider this a deal breaker as the keyboard is overall solidly constructed, and if the quality is as good as my original, then the Pro ought to last just as long. However, after having had a chance to use the keyboard to type the notes for this video, I can say the typing experience is hampered by one thing, and that's the constant metallic pinging noise with each key press. I can even replicate the sound just by thumping the keyboard frame. I do not know if this is a Cherry MX Red switch issue, as my brown switch K70 RGB and Corsair MX750 keyboards do not have this issue, or if it's a lack of sound dampening materials within the keyboard chassis. I can say for certain though, the pinging noise is absolutely horrendous and annoying as hell. If there were any one thing to put me off this keyboard and to keep me from recommending it to you, it's this noise. For a $170 plus product, no one should have to deal with what I feel is a glaring lack of quality. I type a lot, and I don't want to have to be bombarded with pings every keystroke. If and when Corsair revamps the K70 line, I hope they're able to improve the acoustics and remove the ping. I'm really disappointed by this. Corsair, you need to do better. And that's all I have to say about Corsair's K70 RGB Pro. If you're not married to the iQ ecosystem or plain just don't like Corsair for any reason, there are many companies out there who make keyboards of comparable quality and pricing, such as Ducky, Das Keyboard, Cooler Master, Asus, and others. So I definitely urge you to look for a keyboard that best suits your needs and budget. It's a fun little rabbit hole to go down to be sure. What qualities do you look for in a keyboard? And is there any particular switch you prefer? What brands do you lean towards, or do you build your own keyboards and lube your own switches? Do you own a K70 RGB Pro, and do you experience the same ping sound when typing? Let me know. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, leave a like. Consider getting subscribed so you can support the channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any future content. And hey, while you're here, why not check out some of the other videos I've made? I'm Seth, and I'll see you next time in the middle of nowhere.